Yeah.
So today, not only do we have a massive Tina Peters update, but it is time to finally expose what they are doing right now with genetic testing. There's a video that is going extremely viral right now on my X, already up to 5 million views in the first 2 hours. And people are wondering, what the heck is this? What is going on? Well, if you watch closely, you can see they are taking what appears to be a no longer alive body out of the water. There's the footage right there on the screen. And that appears to be a body that could have had genetic testing done on it. Something that could be. So if you actually look into this, there's a process, and most people don't know about it. This video is a little bit older, but they refuse to cover it even still to this day. And the process is called, it has a little bit of a weird name to it. It is called, give me a second. So first of all, you see they have to have 4 different angles there when it comes to holding that. It is extremely heavy. That's not something that takes 4 guys. They have to have all those guys in the hazmat suits. And so they clearly don't want to get the contamination on them. That's the first thing. And so it's called chimeras, which basically means injecting human embryonic stem cells into days-old embryos of other species. And they say that can cause them to grow together and create a human-animal hybrid. And we don't know for sure that's what it is. But if you watch the footage, that's crazy stuff.
So here's the interesting part about this. And normally I would tell you, like I was talking to Matt about it, and then it came out of Poland, right?
Correct.
But the news wouldn't pick it up. And the whistleblowers are out there blowing the whistle. The people that originally found the body. And they're the ones that have come out to say that this was a humanoid. Yep. And they're being really loud. And Poland won't pick it up. Now everyone, you'll see the footage been taken down in multiple areas. And they're wearing hazmat suits. And the whistleblowers are out there blowing the whistle. And I'm talking about whistleblowers that they're not wearing tinfoil hats, Matt. They're not wearing tinfoil hats.
This is something they're trying to cover up, and they're doing it for a very specific reason, because they don't want people to know about the testing. And finally, for the first time, we are seeing people coming forward and admitting that this is happening. And where's it going to go next? Are we going to see human-animal hybrids that are designed for war, combined with a gorilla, for example? What's coming next? I think it's actually a bigger story than almost anyone's giving it credit for. It's going viral right now. The footage is, but the story behind it is way more important, I think, than that. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that today. We're going to go into more details on some of the genetic testing that they're doing, the hybrid stuff. But also, we have a big update on Tina Peters, as well as a couple other things that have happened in the last 24 hours, including massive budget cuts. Will it actually work? Is Trump on the right track for once here when it comes to that? Or is it more of the talk and not so much of the action? All of that today on the show.
Take 2. Cut.
Take 2.
I want to talk to my people. I want to talk to my brothers and sisters. We can have grace and humility in how we interact with other people. All right, follow me with this.
But they've been using their power to obstruct and stop justice from taking place.
You want to pray us out?
I do.
We'll pray for Tina. And let's have conversations about what truth is. Matt, we're going to talk about Tina Peters first.
Big update.
And I'm going to tell you guys, you're not going to be happy with it. You're not going to be okay with it. You know, I am known for not holding back, being very truthful, Matt, regardless of what the consequences are. I don't really care what the consequences are. You know, I had this video, and maybe we should start with it. This is off the cuff, so off the cuff. Apollo, it's on my X channel. It literally is I think the video I did this morning. You know, I've had a real problem, Matt, with thinking through, was it worth it? was the last 4.5 years of my life worth it? Was it worth standing up? Was it worth taking the hits? Was it worth the reputational, slaughtering that I got in the mainstream media? Was all of that worth it?
And the amount of money that Joe has lost because he has decided to stand up and fight for the truth.
Yeah.
The amount of people who have had to spend time in prison, from the January 6ers to Tina Peters, who is still in there, to multiple other people that are still fighting right now for freedom because they were targeted by the Department of Justice under Biden. Was it all worth it? And I think the answer as of right now is we still have a lot of fighting left to do in order to make it worth it. It's a good start, but it's not worth it yet until we finish the job.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. You just gave me perspective. Yeah, that's it. That's it. You gave me perspective. You said the people had to spend time in jail for J6, Tina Peters. We can go down the stream. I lost an opportunity to sell my company for hundreds of millions of dollars. That to me is like people go, and I'm like, I wouldn't have been able to spend it all anyway. But I want to play this video. So this is a guy that, you need 10 seconds. All right. This is a guy that I woke up this morning and I have not been myself for the last couple of days. And I was thinking about the fact of whether or not it was worth it. So let's play this.
I got in a fight in high school. 3 guys were saying disparaging things about my sister, 1 year younger than me. And I said, you can't talk about my sister like that. And I got in a huge fight with them. And I was beating the living dog poop out of them. And they pulled me down to the principal's office. He said, what if what they're saying about your sister is accurate? I went across the table and tried to punch him right at that point in time. And I had to be restrained. They had to call in the police. And I said, I'm going to kill you. You can't talk about my sister that way. And he's like, oh my God. So he calls my dad. And he goes, he was in a fight. My dad said, so why are you calling me? We want to let you know your son was in a fight. He said, my dad said, what are the rules? What are the consequences of getting in a fight? He said, suspension. If my son got in a fight and you say the rules are that if you get in a fight, you get suspended, suspend my son. Why are you calling me? So I got a 3-day suspension. I came home and I was furious. You betrayed me. He said, sit down. If you hadn't defended your sister's honor, we wouldn't be having this conversation. I'd be so disappointed in you. Never been more proud of you in my life. I said, okay, but why didn't you step in? He said, no. There are consequences for your actions. Just because you do the right thing doesn't mean you don't pay a price. You did the right thing, but it's not the right thing if you get away with it. It's the right thing because it was the right thing to do, but now you have to pay the price. You made a decision to break the rules, and I support that decision. You were defending the honor of your sister, but now you must pay the price, or else your actions are meaningless. If you stand up and do the right thing and you don't pay a price, you get away. It's too easy. He said, doing the right thing is sometimes the hardest thing in the world. That was one of the biggest lessons of my life. Do what's right, but be prepared to pay the price, that there's no free ride. And that was a huge lesson. It guided me in everything I've done.
What he said is right. You have consequences no matter what it is. And somebody else said something, they go, you standing up and doing the right thing could cost you everything. And it's very true. It cost John Eastman everything. It cost President Trump, I wouldn't say everything.
A few $100 million at the least for Trump. I mean, it has a very heavy financial toll to stand up for what's right, on top of losing your security, losing your ability to go forward and get a job for cases of people who don't have the funds to manage themselves or don't own a business. It requires a lot, no matter who you are.
And you have to make the decision. Are you willing to be the one to take the hits? And I don't know if any one person that has gone through it, I was talking to Kyle Seraphin about this too. I don't think any one person can truly appreciate what it is you have to give when you step out to do the right thing against a very unpopular or very popular mob of people that are in this dysphoria. Let's get back to Tina. Oh, man.
If you look at the footage, so there are people who are going and getting footage of the prison that she's being held in right now. It is so depressing to watch that and to see the conditions that she's being forced to stay in. We are planning to do an interview. We are going to go there and see her in person. That's the plan. And get a chance to let the entire world have a glimpse at what is happening in one of the most unfair cases in the history of the United States.
Yes. But you know what's even worse than that? Tina Peters went, let me just, for those of you that don't know, Tina Peters was the county clerk and recorder for Mesa County in Colorado. And she thought in 2020 that the election was not stolen. She did not think that it was possible. She was a county clerk and recorder, and she goes, it is not stolen. Everything's fine. She was a proponent of the system. Never looked under the hood, but just trusted the process. Trusted, and she's not a tech person. Then came along the 2021 municipal election in the spring of 2021. And the results were not possible. People that were obscure and unknown were elected to these commissioners, the town commissioners, county commissioners. And she goes, this is not possible. Because then people came to her and said, hey, this isn't, you need to look under the hood. And she goes, I agree, there's something wrong. And then the state of Colorado came in and said, we're going to do this trusted build. We're going to erase all the systems. And so to figure out what they were doing, she created a covert operation, but it wasn't that covert. She went to her own IT department first and said, I need you to make a copy of this. I need you to copy the election system. I need to have I need to know that the system was not fraudulent. Can we take that down for a minute? I'm not there yet. And so then come the bad actors, Matt. Conan Hayes, Gerald Woods, Sharona Bishop. Now, Conan Hayes was a surfer / CIA op. His dad was CIA. He said he took down Backpage. Turns out that's not true.
Which, by the way, that's how it normally works. Tucker Carlson, dad CIA. Tucker Carlson believed to likely have been working with him on multiple things. It's always, it's.
I mean, look, Patrick Byrne, same way, right? Patrick Byrne, same way. It is, and they find a way to infiltrate, and they find a way to get people to do things that are righteous, quote unquote righteous. And then you just said Tucker Carlson. What did Putin say?
The same thing.
Putin said he applied to the CIA, and I think it shocked Tucker to a large degree.
Putin knows how to do research. That's a man who does not take any interview without having every single bit of information on the man who's sitting across from him. Which, by the way, there can be people working for the CIA who are good. There are some. Yeah. So it's not necessarily a total indictment of Tucker Carlson. But it's just something to keep in mind is that, yes, he has obviously worked with them at some point in the past.
Yeah, I think he was disillusioned. He even said he was disillusioned.
Yeah.
He was disillusioned with the idea that the government was going to do the right thing. And then as he got further and further into it, he opened up Pandora's box. He figured out they weren't. But Tina didn't get that opportunity. See, Tina made a copy of it. Then they had the trusted build that came in that did wipe all the information off the system, making it impossible for you to do an audit. But they didn't know that she had gone outside and done it. But Sharona Bishop had them turn off the cameras and use the ID of Gerald Woods, which Gerald Wood then handed his ID to Conan Hayes, who's a CIA guy. Then they make the copy. Then we go to a symposium, and they march Tina out there like the pawn that she is for them, for Mike Lindell's symposium, and says, we got all these goods. And then they put a copy of the image on the screen with the signature of Conan Hayes on it. And it was done by a guy that Ron Watkins, who started 4chan. I mean, it can't get any much worse than what this is. And then you have the Dennis Montgomery that came into the deal, said PCAPs. Turns out that's all BS. It's all BS. Anybody who knows about tech knows that they don't have anything. But we had 3 volumes, Matt, 3 volumes of reports that came out of Mesa County. They did not charge her with anything related to the election. She went to her IT department first and said, make a copy. They said, we refuse. Because we don't want to uncover the fraud. And now what they're finding in Nevada is that everything that came out in Tina's case in Colorado, related to the Dominion voting systems, you fraudulent, stupid fucks, is the same thing. Let's put this up. This is Joe Hoff's article. In Nevada court Thursday, election fraud findings were correlated to the fraud findings of Tina Peters. Today wasn't just another day in Nevada court system. The election manipulation case brought by Andy Thompson versus the Nevada Secretary of State continued this morning in downtown Las Vegas. It lasted for about an hour. At the heart of the matter is the numbers just don't add up, and from the 2024 election. Even though President Trump won there, Andy is also fighting hard to prevent destruction of the 2022 election results that will likely further substantiate all of his findings. This isn't a partisan issue. It's an American issue. Without honest elections, America is a first world country. I see what he did there. Because this is a pro se case by Mr. Thompson, his stellar performance has been subject to administrative hiccups related to certificate of service misunderstandings. These misunderstandings were hashed out between Mr. Thompson and the judge today, resulting in a learn-as-you-go posture. Fortunately, Judge Reynolds has been very accommodating and has given Andy until Monday the 9th to file and serve his amended complaint, meeting all requirements which were obscured previously. Once this refiling is complete, there will be an operative complaint on file which can be acted upon during the next court hearing. So let's discuss a few things about the case in this. It's an anti-Tina Peters playbook all over again. Same thing. Same thing. If you recall, Tina at the Mesa County, I'm going to read this because this is actually really important, Matt. This gets to the basis behind why is Tina Peters in jail. They have obscured, lied, misinformation, disinformation, used the media, had CISA say it's the most safest, most secure election in U.S. history, even though we had all the information to prove that the election was fraudulent and that the guys behind it, Eric Coomer being one, were responsible for the stealing of this election.
You don't delete information unless you have something to hide. You don't put that law through. You don't try to stop it from being copied unless, of course, what? You don't want anyone to see what you're really doing. What was happening behind the scenes? Joe's a system architect. He knows how this works. And we've had a lot of discussion about it. Skeptical at first, but once you start to see how easy it is to manipulate those systems, you start to realize what's really happening.
One line of code, Matt.
That's all it takes.
One line of code. One. A single line of code can trigger an entire database of information and can allow for, and it takes one person. It takes one person across the entire country. It doesn't take 3, 4, 5, 10, 20. You don't have to walk in with the ballots. I mean, obviously it does help when you have stacks of ballots that are fraudulent, which is why the mail-in ballot system is one of the key indicators of the fraud there. But let me finish reading this. It's the anti-Tina Peters playbook all over again. If you recall, Tina is the Mesa County, Colorado election clerk, mercilessly dragged through the mud in an attempt to discredit her findings of systematic machine manipulation, election fraud. Learn here about it. It has tinapeters.us. You can go there, tinapeters.us. You can also donate to her there. We're going to talk a little bit about that later. And watch selection code, linked at the top menu bar. By the way, Tina is now in prison for 9 years due to the dystopian malicious prosecution to silence her. And guess what? The same patterns she identified in Mesa County are prevalent in Nevada and etched in stone throughout Andy's findings, as was mentioned during his testimony today on the record. There's no way around this. And by the way, Joe Hoft is a auditor for multinational billion-dollar corporations. He's not just a guy off the street. The attorney arguing on behalf of the Secretary of State and key to the above article is attorney Leanna St. Jules. And yes, of course, she's a Democrat. But wait, not an ordinary Democrat. She was an attorney at the illustrious Covington and Burling. You know them, the same firm of Eric Holder, and behind the Get Flynn effort during the Trump 45 days. First, during Trump 45 days. By the way, President Trump recently suspended that firm's security clearance and terminated their federal contracts. This illustrates the culture she came from, which is consistent with the culture of the Secretary of State's office. And I want to point out this, Matt. Eric Coomer said in a post on social media that his feelings or his thoughts are his own, and it doesn't necessarily represent the feelings of Dominion voting systems, but then goes on to say, but if they don't, I should quit. So it's good that they actually do feel the same way I do, which means that they're also Satanists, they're also skinheads, they're also Antifa, they're also radical leftists, and they also run 50% of the vote of the American people and don't want any transparency. So there we have it. America is still grinding slowly to extricating itself from the scourge of stolen elections. And today, Nevada was front and center. And I want to take you back. He put it in here, the cease and desist. I, together with many attorneys and legal scholars, am watching the sanctity of the 2024 presidential election very closely because I know better than most the rampant cheating and skullduggery that has taken place by the Democrats in the 2020 presidential election. It's funny he didn't say anything about 2022 or 2024. It was a disgrace to our nation. Therefore, the 2024 election, where votes have just started being cast, will be under the closest professional scrutiny. And when I win, those people that cheated will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law, which will include long prison sentences so that depravity of justice does not happen again. So he goes on to say a bunch of things. But this is, you have Arizona, Matt. You have Arizona. You have Colorado. You have Nevada. You got California because they have Smartmatic. It's all the same system architecture.
California's so far gone in so many ways. Not only are they cheating in that capacity, they're also allowing illegal immigrants to vote at high rates. If you walk into a California voting center, they don't even ask for your ID. That's the first thing. Second thing is, when it comes to mail-in ballots, they are purposefully harvesting ballots from certain communities, especially Black communities and communities where they know they're going to have a very high rate of voting for Democrats. It is a orchestrated, coordinated effort to steal elections from the American people and to stop the best people who are actually going to stop the corruption and the evil from getting in power and sending them to prison.
Yes.
What would you do if you were going to go to prison? You would cheat too. You would. And that's exactly what's happening.
You double down.
You would.
You have to.
You don't have a choice. Either you're going to spend the rest of your life behind bars, or you have to find some way to manipulate it so that you're still going to be in charge.
Now, can we show the video of Tina's prison? Can we show that?
It's hard to watch, even just seeing the outside. Obviously, it's very difficult to get footage of the inside. They have so many things in place. We literally thought, what if we flew a drone? That's probably a felony.
Yes.
We're not going to do that. I proposed.
We're
I was
not doing that.
We're not doing it. But we were thinking about we need a way for people to see inside what is really happening. But here's some footage from the outside. You can see, so that's the facility where she is currently being held. Barbed wire fencing, all to stop a 69-year-old lady from escaping. I don't think they probably don't need barbed wire. I don't think to stop that, because she's not a threat. She's not trying to escape. I mean, if obviously the other prisoners are there too, but we're just focusing on Tina right now, and it sucks to see her in such circumstances in a place that is for the worst of the worst, not for people like her.
Okay, now for the most unpopular part of this broadcast. And Matt, you can run away from me on these comments if you want. I give you permission, and I give you permission at all times to hold me accountable for what I'm about to say. Okay? Matt's looking at me like, oh shit.
I'm like, oh no,
what's he gonna say?
We're gonna get banned.
No.
Ban us.
No.
No, it's not bad. By the way, I have no idea what he's about to say. I have no idea what he's alluding to right now.
So, Pat McSweeney is one of the attorneys for Tina Peters. One of the attorneys, not the lead attorney. Also represents Mike, represents Dennis Montgomery, represents other people, right? All these other characters. And so he was on a show, a coalition call, and he decided that he was going to take shots at me. And he's saying that, well, Mike Lindell is meeting with President Trump and Mike Lindell is meeting with the DOJ. Let me explain something to you. There are a lot of people meeting with the DOJ about Tina Peters. And I was told to stand down. This is what I was told. Joe needs to stand down. The DOJ is noticing the infighting. There is no infighting. So stop the bullshit. There's no infighting. Here's the reality. You're raising money in an obscure account that was tied to Lindell Offense Fund, Sharona Bishop. That's what you're doing. Tina Peters has a website called tinapeters.us. If you want to help Tina Peters, then collect the money in a place that is auditable that is responsible to the people that donate, and 100% goes to make sure that Tina Peters has the ability to have an effective defense. That's the reality. There is no infighting. And Joe Oltmann's accusations, that's what he said, Joe Oltmann's accusations, and that all these people are doing great things. It does not take a rocket scientist to get out there and hammer down on what we know is happening in Nevada. The DOJ should enter an appearance on behalf of Mr. Thompson in Nevada. You want to get to the bottom of it. Let's start by doing this. Let's start by saying this. I don't want to hear it's complicated. I don't want to hear that, oh, we have to argue it a certain way. You put all of the defenses out there, and you make sure that you come at it to the point where, hey, listen, they might throw me in jail. They might throw me in jail for contempt of court. They might do it. And just like that video said, it said, what are you willing to give up to do the right thing? I'm willing to give up anything. I've already gave up everything. I live in a fortified home, for God's sakes. They're not noticing the infighting. And all you're doing by creating this, Patrick McSweeney, is are you a good guy? I know John Case is a good guy. I know Stephanie Lambert is a good person. I know Patrick Byrne is doing the right thing. He put his money where his mouth is. But you just walk around trying to tell everyone how big a wiener you got. And telling everyone to stand down. I'm not going to stand down. And as the guy who literally pays Tina, I pay Tina. I pay Tina every month, have for a long time, to make sure she doesn't lose her home and she doesn't lose the ability when she does get out from this malicious prosecution, that she has something to come home to. Because God forbid they would just want to swipe that and take that as well. And you know what? I'm prepared, Matt, to do that for 9 years if I have to. 9 years. So I don't want to hear from some stupid, I don't want to hear from a guy that charges $600 an hour to say, I'm trying to do the best I can to help Tina. That's not the guy. Nobody pays me anything. And Tina has come out time and time again, and she has asked for the same thing. Put it in one place so that we can make sure that all of the legal counsel and all of the people that are doing this can get paid. But instead, you got Sharona Bishop running around putting money in the coffers that do not belong and cannot be audited and are mixed with other money. And you got all these other people like Kurt saying stuff like, oh, yeah, don't listen to Joe. Look, I'm going to tell you something. Mike owes me $4 million. He owes my friend money. He owes lots of people money. I put my money where my mouth is. I took money out of my family's mouth and I handed it over so that he actually could survive some of the onslaughts that he had. I paid for the symposium, the third symposium that he had, because he said, just loan me the money. I got to do this. And I'm like, listen, here are the things we have to do if you're going to do that. It turned out to be an absolute joke. Who was right in the middle of it? Sharona Bishop. I built the platform for Lindell, for Frank's speech. I took the company public for Frank's speech. It was me that removed all the obstacles and got in the middle of it and said, okay, here's what we have to do. And so don't talk to me about the fact that I don't know what the hell I'm doing. You got a bunch of assholes that walk around saying that they have all this experience, and all that experience has done has created a layer of incompetence. So I believe the DOJ will do the right thing. But I also believe that the people that represent Tina Peters wouldn't be so stupid as to come out and say, you got to put a muzzle on Joe Oltmann. You think you're going to be, Matt, you think you can put a muzzle on me?
I think that would be very difficult to do, honestly. I don't think Joe Oltmann is someone who is willing to stand down and not say what he believes, first of all. Second of all, I've seen all of this. I saw the website. It is true, potentially, that what they're doing is trying to help. I don't know if I agree with Joe that they're only trying to be negative necessarily. Maybe that's the case. But what I have seen is it's impossible to track the donations from that website. I looked at it closely. And if I'm wrong, please feel free to show me that. But from all appearances, it seems like they can't fully track that funding. And therefore, in my experience, at least, anytime you can't track it, it could be going to a bad place.
And you just got to trust. We got to trust it just like the election systems. We got to trust it. Just trust that it's going to go to the right place. But we've seen that when people go to tinapeters.us, and look, she doesn't ask me to do this. I don't even have access to the account. I can't even see it. I'm not the one that audits. They have a trustee who is an amazing person that has never been paid $1 out of this. And as we sit here, Matt, the more angry I become, because Tina Peters has told she wants nothing to do with Sharona Bishop. Nothing. She doesn't want something to do with her. Sharona Bishop literally had the ability to turn over a recording she had with Jerry Woods. She held it hostage for 2.5 years and then finally never turned it over, and it never saw the light of day in court. Never. That's the Sharona Bishop. That's the person that wants you to give money to the Lindell Offense Fund. And then I get told that if you don't do this, then it's gonna disrupt everything. The one thing about President Trump is it's really simple, is he sees past chaos and he understands things very clearly. Very clearly. So I'll say this to you, Mr. President. Tina Peters is not a pawn in anybody's game. She's not a pawn in my game. She's not a pawn in Mike Lindell's game. And she's not a pawn in Sharona Bishop's game. And she should not be used as a pawn. She has been used up to this point as a useful idiot. And now she's spending 9.5 years in prison when at the swipe of a pen, we could do something to get her out.
Nobody has given more for Tina than Joe. And it's not even particularly close. He's also given me so much and my family as well. Yeah. The man sitting across from me is someone who I trust with my life, someone who I have so much respect for and who I appreciate on a deep level. And I don't think it's even really a close call when it comes to who I personally would trust and want to have handling Tina's case at the highest level. And it's that man right there. And by the way, if you're just tuning in because you saw
I'm not a lawyer.
That's right.
Well, I just want to fight for her.
Yeah,
so
exactly. Handling the lawyers, handling the funds, handling that.
I don't want to handle funds either.
We do sell the Tina Peters stickers, so you don't want to handle the funds, but you want to be collecting the funds and then giving it to Tina. Exactly. Yeah. That's what I mean by handle it, because by handle it, what Joe does is give it to Tina, and that's how it should be handled. It's Tina's money, it's Tina's decision, and she's going to use it to fight for herself.
So we have a letter from her. We have a letter from Tina, and there will be consequences, by the way, for some of the stuff that was said on the call today. There will be.
There has to be.
And the reality of it is that there's a lot of people, there's prayer groups for Tina. There are people that are out there doing amazing work. I can't even say enough good things about the people out there. I get to hear the prayers inside of the group that they bring for Tina. I mean, there's some powerful prayer groups out there doing amazing things. There are amazing people that have given more than they have to help Tina Peters.
And one thing I will say real quick before we go to the letter, which is extremely important, is that if you're just tuning in because you saw the X post that I made and you're wondering what the deal is with that, which a lot of people are coming in from that, this is one of the best shows on the internet by far. Joe and I partner together. We have an incredible team back there. This is something you can come and watch every single day at 4 p.m. Eastern time. Now, the footage itself shows what looks to potentially be a hybrid between possibly, and this sounds crazy, I get it, it sounds insane, between a fish and a human of some sorts. There is a process where they put human embryos together with animal embryos and can create that. And people are wondering how much of that's already happened.
There's a lot of comments like, I came here for this. Talk about Tina. So yeah, if you go back to the very beginning, you can actually watch the whole show too.
That's right.
I think you should watch the whole show.
And by the way, so if you do see me posting the link while the show is still live, you can just go back to the beginning if that's specifically what you came for. But there's a whole show and it's really good stuff. And so I want you to join us for the whole time. But we are also going to always make sure we do talk about for an extended period of time anything that's on a post. And if you want to, Paul, you want to throw up that video real quick one more time, because there's one more comment I wanted to make on that before we go into the rest of the Tina Peters stuff. And that is, in China right now, they have fully legalized the human hybrids and the genetic testing. And so this is, by the way, in Poland, but there are labs and facilities that are currently working on it. And when you watch that footage, you can see at the end there what looks like some sort of tail that flaps back and forth, and it seems to move as they're moving the body of whatever this is. And so it's possible it could just be, some sort of mutilation that happened to a human body while in the water. But then why are they trying so hard to hide it? Why are people who were part of that crew that took the body out now coming out and saying that they believe it was in fact a hybrid? That wouldn't happen unless there was at least some credible nature to the claim that it could be some sort of experiment went wrong. And that's why I'm going to continue to look into it. And, obviously we're going to have skepticism and we're going to be careful with what we say because we don't have all of the facts yet. But what we do know is they've been putting pigs and humans together. They've been putting horses and humans together. And there's these freak monster-like creatures that come out and aren't really capable.
I mean, they put
of
me and a gorilla together. So I was one of the first, I think.
and they put
Gave
me
me retard strength.
They put me together with an extremely highly intelligent and strong and handsome alien. So, but yeah, I mean, it's crazy stuff.
If he starts,
then
he starts doing it, I'll be like, whoa, I didn't know about that.
The real planet I'm from, no one will ever find out. No one will ever know. But it's just. I think it's important to continue to show footage like this because there's a reason why the mainstream media refuses to cover it.
Yeah.
Try searching for it. Try finding articles on that. It's almost impossible. And they know that they have to be silent about what's happening because it's going to go to a point where they're going to create hybrids that they can control fully that will be amongst us and have the ability to do things and to be controlled in ways that we aren't capable of even understanding yet. Especially when you integrate AI and some of this biological testing. It's gonna be super scary and crazy, and we talked about a little bit about it at the beginning of the show as well. So it's a full show. If you just came for that, then you're missing out on a lot of other stuff every day here at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. As we continue to look at what's happening though with the Tina Peters case, the letter that Joe's about to read here is, I think, not only extremely heartfelt and emotional, but it shows you the state that we're in, and it shows you why Tina is fighting so hard right now. If you want to go ahead and pull it up, Apollo. And we can read the letter.
It's just a few days ago. And we just got permission to share this. So I by the way, I was just texting Jeff. If you got that, you got it late. I was just trying to tell you that because you're in the comments that let me read it to you. To whom it may concern has come to Tina Peters' attention that the people are soliciting donations using her name in legal case directing funds to websites, entities, and individuals that are other than the official donation portal established by Ms. Peters at tinapeters.us. It is imperative that any financial support be directed exclusively to this official site to ensure proper oversight and transparency. Tina is grateful for your support and prayers, and especially financial support for her legal team. All financial support should be directed only to tinapeters.us and nowhere else. Want to go up? Yeah, that's as far as I can see. There we go. Right, can you go down? Okay, and nowhere else. Please direct any inquiries to Linda Good, a good paralegal at proton.me. And then she should put a phone number in here, 720-331-2563. And it is signed by Tina Peters. So I'm going to put this to rest. Patrick Byrne has sent this people to tinapeters.us. I don't have any control over it. And the fact is that this is not a grift or a money grab. There's no benefit to me by directing. I mean, it doesn't even affect me, Matt. It doesn't affect me. It doesn't affect what I'm willing to do for Tina. The reality of it is, at some point, shouldn't it be about what Tina wants? She's the one suffering. She's the one that's going through this, and she's the one that has to make sure that the legal bills are paid so that they can actually do the right thing. And instead, we got to go and do cease and desists and tell people we're going to file lawsuits just to get them to do the right thing. And then to have a threat by an attorney that represents Tina saying, oh, you know what? I'll just quit. Well, then you weren't in it for Tina to begin with. This is not about infighting. There is no infighting. This is about doing the right thing and making sure. And if you feel the pressure for doing the right thing, and the right thing is not just making sure that she has adequate support so that she can push through all the lawfare and all the fraud of this case around her and get to the meat of it, of going after and making sure that the judge is held accountable, that the DA is held accountable, that the governor of Colorado is held accountable, the Secretary of State of Colorado is held accountable, the AG of Colorado is held accountable for their inclusive effort. They're conspiring to commit a crime and going after Tina Peters. That's what this is about. So if you want to help Tina Peters, it's really simple. You can go to tinapeters.us. That's it. That's the only place. And JC, you'll do a cut of this and make sure we cut it, put the letter out there so it go on all the socials. Matt will share it. I will share it. We'll share it everywhere. So we put this to rest. Is that good? Is that well stated, Matt? Is that?
I think it's very clear to everyone now. And if you're not familiar with the Tina Peters case, it's something I would highly recommend. If you're not super familiar, I would highly recommend looking into it because it's something that is a blueprint and it's happening not just to her, but to others as well, and will continue to happen if we don't stand up. So very important stuff. There's also a big update as well with Trump, and he's trying to cut spending. $136 billion is what he's trying to cut. First of all, it's not military spending. There's no cut there.
They said that though.
Yeah, that's what he said, which I think it's, I mean, at some point when we're looking at our country being right now, $36 trillion in debt, we're blowing $1 to $2 trillion more into debt every single year, including what is now going to be almost $1 trillion in interest payments every single year. At some point, you have to look at that and say, what are the biggest expenditures? Either we cut them or we go bankrupt as a country. We default on Social Security. We default on being able to pay for most programs. We default on the ability to protect ourselves. We default on all of our contracts. We default on everything. And it gets to a place where no one's going to buy bonds. We can't borrow money anymore. We have to have an extremely inflated price compared to where we're at now with the rest of the world. Already, we've seen a lot of those consequences when it comes to the price of food, for example. Look at your grocery bill. This is the government that has decided to take a perfectly functioning country that is the best in the world in many categories and turn it from that into a groveling, debt-burdened non-country with no community, with no sense of urgency, with no ability to maintain bonds and to sell them at any high rate. It is actually one of the most disgusting mismanagements that we've ever seen in the history of organized countryness. Organized country. I just made that word up, but still, that's what it is. Organized countryness. It's never happened before. We've never seen a country that has had the government hurt the people that it's supposed to be representing as much as the United States government has to us. It has slashed our potential, not just by half, but by more than 2/3. And that's not even really debatable.
So this is pretty interesting because I want to go through this specifically. Do you want to go through the specific points? Because I really do.
Yeah,
I want people to understand the concept behind this. So this is a Politico article. I'm not a big fan of Politico, but just to give you an idea of what is being said right now, I think they're trying to get closer to that non-partisan deal so they can stop being kicked to the curb for the and get some questions. President Trump is seeking a massive, unprecedented funding cut across the government, asking Congress to slash spending on non-defense programs by more than $163 billion. The White House proposal will cut non-defense discretionary spending by roughly 23% compared to 2025 levels, bringing it to the lowest level since 2017. Now, this includes inflation. So just keep in mind what he's actually saying he wants to do here, which is really interesting. The budget proposal assumes large increases in spending for defense and homeland security, with a 13% increase in defense spending and nearly a 65% increase for homeland security spending over 2025 levels.
Disgusting. It's actually disgusting.
Well, it does have the large increases, but the increases are, in essence, going to be less in total by nearly 12%. So it actually works out really well. Now, what do you think Mitch McConnell said?
Everything Mitch McConnell says is anti the American people. And of course,
because we're slaves.
Exactly. He treats us as if we are nothing more than basically subservient to our government, not the other way around, not the way this country was founded. And of course, anything Trump tries to do to cut spending or to make it better, he's going to stand in the way. He's going to be a roadblock. The rest of Congress, including many Republicans, are going to be a roadblock. It's the way it's been for decades, and they get paid, by the way, to do this. They're getting a lot of money to make sure we're screwed over at a continuous level.
Are you ready for this?
Go ahead.
Now, this is a guy, by the way, that has never been able to balance his own checkbook, has had more inquiries into his behavior, ethical behavior, from a financial standpoint, as a congressional leader. He's the chair of the Senate's defense funding panel. In other words, he gets money for this. He gets money. All these people want to give him money. He slammed the White House budget office for asking Congress to keep defense spending static for the upcoming fiscal year, saying in the statement the extra cash Republican leaders are hoping to pour on through the tax and spending mega bill they are hoping to enact this summer is not a substitute for a full year appropriations. Do you know when the last time we've had actually a budget that's been signed off?
It's been a very long time since we had a budget. I know for sure that hasn't had
almost a
string
decade
dead in it. Yeah.
Almost a decade. It's almost been a decade. They've just had continued resolution after continued resolution. Can you imagine actually going through this thing and getting to $36 trillion in debt because a loophole states that you don't have to have a budget? And that's what's happening. That's happening.
They set it up so that you're not supposed to be able to go over the amount that we bring in on a yearly basis. And every single year,
They go over.
Yeah.
And instead of saying,
loophole.
we're done.
Don't you think
we're out of
maybe
money.
it was designed that way for a reason? Don't you think maybe the people who created this country and who have put the laws in place pre-extreme evil politician era, don't you think maybe they had a concept that if we go trillions of dollars into debt, it's going to destroy the country long term and take away all of our financial options? It's almost like they planned for it. It's almost like the politicians literally knowingly sign off every single time a budget bill gets pushed forward to make sure that that doesn't happen. That instead we get screwed over, they make the money, and they don't care. They really, truly don't care about us at all.
So let me tell you something else, right? You ready for this? And this gets worse. This gets worse. This is the this is Chair Tom Cole. We're supportive of the administration. What is trying to do, but with all due respect to anybody, I think the members have a better understanding of what can pass and what can't than the executive branch does. You know what this tells me? You got the judiciary going off doing whatever they want. And you got the legislative branch that says, hey, we can't balance a checkbook. We've never had to balance a checkbook. Half of us are bankrupt or have been bankrupt. The other half of us are embroiled in sexual crimes or DUIs and DWIs and all this other stuff. But they know how to balance a budget, and they know what can pass and not pass because they got the little lobbyist standing next to them saying, you can't pass this because it doesn't have enough money in it. The executive branch, kind of like the CEO of a company, their job is to make sure that we stay solvent, that we can operate. Well, how do you operate, Matt, if you don't have the ability to operate?
They don't. And one of the reasons why they don't care about us is that such a small percent of Congress is Christian. That's a fact. And in a Christian country, the only way we're going to have representatives who are for the people is if we have a majority Christian Congress. It's that simple on the most basic level. And there's so many
that
other
isn't
things,
captured.
but it's captured. It's atheists. Yeah. Many of them are Jewish atheists, Jewish.
I was waiting for it.
I have to bring it up. It's true because a very large percentage of them are part of the atheist Jewish club, which means you don't believe in God. You have no relationship with God to any capacity. You're an atheist, but yet you claim to be Jewish to be part of the club. And then you get money from AIPAC. You get money and you are able to basically create a evil boys club is what we'll call it. It's not a bad boys club. It's an evil boys club. And many people who aren't Jewish, by the way, also join in, still atheists. It's all atheist. There aren't a lot of Christians. And if you do join and you claim to be a Christian, you're probably lying. That's the way it is. It's a big club of people. And they don't care about us because they're not like us. And they don't share our values. And so when they screw us over and we're left with the bill, they just shrug it off. Okay, well, those are a different group of people than me. Why would I care? That's how it is.
Well, and it's not, the further you get into it, Matt, the further you get into it, you start to realize that it's the tail wagging the dog. The body of people in America, the Democrats and the Republicans, the people. And we're all pretty much the same. We all want life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. Haven't met one Democrat that didn't want to have a successful business.
Got that right.
Right?
Yeah, everyone wants to.
90% of those successful businesses, they'd rather them just give them free money. Here's your free money. Why? Because the sense of entitlement in that environment is so large. if you can't get to the place, where the company or country is sustainable, then you have to start making deep cuts. It's really simple. This is not hard. This is not hard at all. The American people are at a place right now where it's untenable. I had a meeting today, Matt, with two good friends of mine that run a successful medical company. Super successful. And so I told them, I was like, listen, I'm going to go through and I'm going to build out some stuff for you. I'm going to help you. Because we started talking and we're like, we want to expand. And Joe, we need to raise capital. And I was like, okay, well, let me help you write some modeling. Come in and sit down with me. And let me see if I can find out where the bodies are buried. And after about 2 hours, I got to the bottom of it. And they're like, yeah, we had to make some deep cuts last month. And I go, look, I'm looking in your, look, I used to read people for a living. I'm really good at it. And I was like, you look like you're not having any fun. And he goes, yeah, we're not. And then he just let it all out. And the fact that they were bringing in really good revenue, but they hadn't been able to pay themselves. And they hadn't been able to pay themselves because everyone was taking the meat off the bone. And I just happened to just pop up their financials and go through it. And I'm like, guys, I don't even know how you could do, I wouldn't do this business and make that little bit at the bottom. How are you doing that? And they're like, we couldn't figure it out. I was like, all right, well, we're gonna turn around the next 30 days. I'm gonna show you how to make some cuts. People that work for you are not gonna like me. And I'm gonna show you how to build a model that is successful. And as they were leaving, they're like, man, thank you. What can we give you? And I was like, nothing. I just want to help you be successful. And then once we get you over that hump and you're there, just make sure you keep it there. But in our government, they don't have that. They don't have it. They don't have any sensibility. They don't have any, they have no comprehension.
They're
of
not
discipline.
like us. Therefore, they don't care about us.
But they don't need to be like us because they have your pocket.
That's right.
They're like, Matt, I need another 3% from your pocket. That they just take from us. Their sense of entitlement to take from the American people more than is their share.
They see us as essentially animals. They see us as people.
Cattle.
In the capacity that they see people as animals and they see themselves as above us. That's basically what they've created. They've created a club of individuals who look down upon the people who are electing them and serving them. And one thing you can do right now is every single time that you have a primary election in any capacity, don't just say and see that they're a Christian. That's not enough. Go look at how they live their life. Do they live by the principles that they claim to adhere by?
No.
And the answer in many cases is no. And that's by the way, that's your fault. That's my fault. It's everyone. It's all of our fault because we have elected these people. We have let them brainwash us. We have let the TV commercials win. At the end of the day, all of us have to only be doing research ourselves. And we have to also be running for office ourselves. We have to be getting in these positions, helping candidates. And if we're not doing all of that, then the system will continue to win. And we have to, in order to even have that step, we have to make sure there's no voter fraud. And we have to stop the elections from being cheated on. So there's so many steps here, but we have to do all of them simultaneously. And any little bit you can do right now, you need to do. And until we can get to the place where it's all perfect and fixed, it's going to be a hard battle. It's going to be a lot of fighting. It's going to be a lot of people who are trying to stop us, who are trying to throw us in prison, sue us. And we have to just look past it, continue marching on, and know that no matter what, at the end, when God is on our side, victory will be as well.
Yeah. But until we get to the place as people where it becomes important enough that we can set aside this, you're racist, I'm racist, you're better, I'm worse, you don't like us to kill babies. Of course, we don't like to kill babies. But until we get to the place where we can take social constructs and stop making those the dog whistles that we actually operate by, and we can look at the fact that those are all put in place so they can create chaos, we become the useful idiots. Tina Peters has become the useful idiot for their gain. So they can become popular, so they can become known, so they can become, and none of that should even matter. That's the worst part about it. None of that should matter.
Did you see, by the way, the video of the lady who said the N-word?
I did.
And then she now made $250,000 in climbing. It'll probably be $500,000 within the next week. She's literally getting rich off of this video, which I think is it actually is a powerful statement. It's a powerful statement I know Joe's going to disagree with me a little bit here, but it's a powerful statement that it's no longer them that control us, at least to some capacity, because
Well,
it's all, in my opinion, it's all about control.
I think it's a powerful statement for a couple reasons.
Yeah.
I think it's a powerful statement because white people are frustrated because a small group of black people and radical leftist white liberals
And Jewish.
and
also.
Jewish, because they're not white. Because they're not white. Remember, Jews say that they're not white. They're white. They're white. They're just separate race, which is not true. I'm not partially a separate race. I'm not. There is no separate race. And by the way, color is a social construct. Sorry, it is. You created it for what reason? Okay. But the reality of it is that white people are pissed. They're pissed off. They're pissed off. Why don't we ever go after the Asians, by the way? Why? They always get like 36. You get 36 on your ACTs. They get a perfect score. We're never attacking them. They're trying to hold the white guy down. And I mean that in kind of, I'm not joking. But what I'm telling you is that we're creating a war. We're allowing a small group of people to create a war by this social indictment of character that is not true. And what that woman did is that she tried to resolve it. Now, here's something else you should know about it. The person that called her out that says, say the N-word again, say the N-word again, he's a sexual predator.
Allegedly. Yes. And not only that, but he was there at the park.
Allegedly? Hold on. Allegedly?
People say without a charge. People say he didn't even have a kid there and he was just hanging. What is he doing hanging out at the park? A Somalian immigrant who is allegedly attracted to kids and has been charged for it in the past. I mean, I say allegedly because, like, you know, like these days they put psyops out there.
He came out and said that it was him. And then they just went and dug on him. Maybe it's allegedly.
Like the psyops they run are they can literally have someone pretend to be him, come out and say it, and then they can say, "Oh, I got you." Like they're starting a new trend, which is psyops to try to get people into lawsuits over information that looks real but actually isn't. That's what's potentially happening anytime we look at any story. And so now, even if we have overwhelming evidence, we still have to say allegedly because that's the way they're setting it up.
No.
Okay.
They can piss right on off.
Well, they can
sue me.
Yeah, they can. How about this? How about they
Come
can
on.
piss right off allegedly?
No.
They can.
There's no.
They can let he can allegedly take his ass, get in a boat, go back to Somalia, and then be put in prison there for the rest of his life. How about that?
So I got sued by the man, that man dude from that went to Ukraine to fight for Ukraine. It was a journalist. I can't remember what it was about, but I got sued for defamation against a tranny journalist.
Really?
Yeah. I won. Now we're chasing that little creep down. Keeps hiding. So I can get my money back.
Well, the thing with defamation suits, too, that people don't realize is the burden is on the plaintiff, not the defendant, in an overwhelming capacity. And the plaintiff will have to pay the defendant's legal fees in full at the point when they lose. So you don't have to be as scared of lawsuits as they want you to be, potentially. But you do. I mean, you want to be careful. You want to be honest. You want to be saying the truth.
Be honest.
But you don't have to be scared.
Like Eric Coomer. I was honest about him.
They need to actually be the ones that are scared to bring frivolous lawsuits. That's what needs. There needs to be a culture where they're the ones that are scared.
I'm a Satanist, skinhead, Antifa guy that wrote about raping his wife, and I'm a bombacious ass who uses the F word every other word, and I run into buildings and I lie with impunity and I erased everything, and I mean I'm not even done yet. There's so much more. And that guy runs 50% of the vote of the American people, and I'm lying, is what he said. Yeah, okay. All right. Out of a hat. Okay, I'm done. I'm done. No, not allegedly. I will say right now, a little pedo. And so at the end of the day, yes. I don't agree that it should be. I saw your brother put up a post and said, "Can we now use the word?" And I said, "No."
The N-word, yeah. I think
said no.
At some point, I mean, are white people allowed to use it? It's a fair question.
No.
I think it's a fair question.
The answer is no.
The answer is yes.
The answer is no.
The answer is yes. Actually, I don't honestly, I don't really care about the word. It's
I do.
people can rage bait about it. People can troll about it. I don't personally care about it. I only care about it the capacity that if you're going to fire a white person for saying it, then that's wrong. And if you're gonna try to dox a white person because they said a word, that's also wrong.
So somebody called me, and I'm going to tell you right now, I was young and dumb. I was very young and very dumb. And I didn't really care about, at the time, copping a charge for beating the hell out of someone. But I heard someone say my name. This is before Jesus, by the way, just so we're all clear. I was a young man. I don't even think I was 20 yet. And he called me. He said my name, Joe, from across the parking lot. We're at his grocery store. And I was like, what? And he said, not you, you stupid white boy. Man, you would have seen, if you've ever seen someone go from 0 to 150,000 miles an hour, I was in his grill. He was probably 6 feet from the front door, and I was in his grill before he got through the door. And I beat the brakes off of him. I beat the brakes off him. I did. And
100 Joes versus one gorilla. Who's coming out the winner?
I'm coming out the winner.
Okay,
100 Joes for sure, 100%.
Well,
but I'm not proud.
100 gorillas versus
I'm not
one
proud
Joe.
of it. I'm not proud of it. But I tell you, all the frustration growing up culminated in that one moment, right? And I remember when I was done, I reached down and picked him up off the ground. I said, "Who's the dumb white boy now?" Right? And I kept.
I'm assuming he was black. Is that the case? Okay.
And what was weird is the amount of respect that he had at that point, because I said I would never degrade you. You don't get to degrade me. Now this is long before there's all this race baiting going on. It's just it was a little bit of a mess, and I was in Maryland, and I was full of anger and hate. I'll just tell you, that's just. And sometimes, by the way, that thing wakes up inside of me. Let's get back to this stuff. Let's get back to these cuts in military spending.
Yeah, we'll get back to the. I've always said one more thing. Anything, in my opinion, that can have some Somalian creep all riled up and feeling like he has the upper hand over a woman who is carrying her child is something that is fundamentally flawed.
A child deviant too.
Yeah, and if all white people have to start saying the N-word in order for him not to feel empowered in that situation, then so be it. Whatever it takes.
But you're heading towards a place where then we are creating a race war because they want it to happen. So everything that they're doing right now, think about it this way. The operators, the people that are in, this is me telling you with years of experience how they can get people to do things that they want to do, right? That they finally get to a point where they know the precipice is this high. And it gets there. And all of a sudden that becomes acceptable. Then the war that the CIA wants us to have amongst each other solidifies. And it's not you that becomes the victim of the race war. It's your children. And you have 3 girls.
I do.
So at some point, we've got to do what is best we've got to fall on the sword and find ways to resolve things. Let's just talk about it. The Jewish people, not Jews. They're not Jews. They don't believe in God. They're atheists that hide behind.
But they claim to be part of a club so they're atheists who have Jewish ancestry in many cases, and they're part of a club because of that. And then they team up with other atheists of different ancestry.
But have done really bad things.
And they work to do evil on our society.
Look
That's
at
what happens.
Jeffrey Epstein. Jeffrey Epstein, when he got charged in Florida for hurting a child, he was a registered sex offender. He had done this twice. First time, slap on the wrist. He used the fact that he was Jewish in order to get out of massive prosecution in that case. And then he got out and did the same thing all over again. And
the fact that he claimed to be Jewish. Jeffrey Epstein is the epitome of atheism. He does not, that man is as far from God as you can possibly be. But he claims to be Jewish. He leans on his ancestry in order to use the connections of other people of the same ancestry, but are also atheists, to get out of evil crimes against children. That's what happened. And you can see it clear as day. And yet you're not allowed to talk about it, or else you get accused of various names. But I'm done. I don't care. I'm going to say the truth regardless of what they call me. And if they want to cancel me, if they want to come after me, I'm right here. I'm right here.
Yeah. Well, the problem is they've already come for me. They've come for me, and I've had to fight back against it. So I know what it looks like. Again, if you're willing to take those chances, you can take those chances. let's dig into this. Okay, I want to dig into this spending really quick. Super important because we haven't really talked a little bit about this. We're over on time, but I just want to put this footage up here. This is footage of special forces in Afghanistan. I want sound on this, baby. Can we have sound on this? How long is this? Oh, okay. Man, I want the people to. So there's no fire though? No, we'll just talk about it. We don't get topic copyright. Let's go. Let's go. Let's hear it.
Okay.
Can we cut out the sound? Cut out the music?
Yeah, well, I think that's enough. 5 seconds. Now you get the idea. But yeah, it's basically a pop song, which I couldn't tell you the name of it because I don't care enough about that stuff. Over videos of them just absolutely going ham in a military battlefield. Pretty cool stuff. So this is what Trump's not cutting by. That's why we put the video on here. That's what Trump's not cutting. He probably should though. I think we need to cut back a little bit. We need to cut back. In my opinion, we need to cut back 400 billion a year on military spending. 400 billion still gives us the most powerful military on earth, and any country that requires more than 10% of our strength would turn into a nuclear war, at which point we are more than capable of handling that, and it would also be the end of the world, so it's not going to happen. So either really we only need 10% of what we have now for almost all conflicts that we would ever conceivably be in that wouldn't involve nuclear weapons.
So let me just tell you how nefarious Mitch McConnell is and Tom Cole is and the rest of these guys are.
Yeah.
Let me tell you what their proposed budgets cuts include. They want to eliminate the offices of the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, CISA, who stole elections.
Mm-hmm.
They want to defunding environmental justice initiatives at the EPA, which, by the way, should have been taken care of by the Chevron deal because it's not legislatively built. They should get rid of the EPA, period. They want to close USAID and reallocating grant funding. They want to eliminate a federal program that provides grants. Do you want to put all this stuff up or do you want me to just read it? I can just put it up. I can just read it. Eliminate a federal program that provides grants to nonprofits that help people who face housing discrimination. They want to defund the National Endowment for Democracy, which is total ruse, a nonprofit that supports democratic institutions around the world. Cut what is called wasteful and woke FEMA grant programs. Unbelievable what they do. Closing the U.S. Institute of Peace, a congressionally funded think tank that seeks to prevent global conflict. By the way, it hasn't gotten rid of any global conflict. Refocusing the National Institute of Health and research that aligns with Trump's Make America Healthy Again agenda. Eliminate a $315 million grant program for preschool development. The administration contends pushes DEI initiatives. It does. Cutting $77 million in grant funding for teacher preparation and professional development. The administration says pushes critical race theory and DEI initiatives. Eliminate the Minority Business Development Agency, which promotes minority-owned businesses. Eliminate the Community Development Financial Institutions Fund, which promotes economic growth in poor communities. Cutting $5.2 billion from the National Science Foundation. Canceling $15 billion in funding in the infrastructure law signed by former President Joe Biden for renewable energy technology. Oh, that's a ruse. Eliminating U.S. investments in global funds to help developing countries deal with the effect of climate change that doesn't exist. Eliminating EPA research grants for non-governmental organizations. Cutting $2.5 billion from the Energy Department's renewable energy program.
Are you sure, Joe, that climate change doesn't exist? Because it feels pretty warm outside today. I don't know. It could be.
I mean, you're wearing shorts.
But I feel like it could be global warming that caused that, right? I mean, any day when it's hot, it must be global warming. What else could cause that? It's not like weather changes.
All right. They also want to cut $80 million from the Department of Energy or Renewable Energy Department's Interior Department, and then eliminating grants at NOAA.
The weather control. Yeah.
Yeah. Provides grants to nonprofits that help people with face out. Oops, that's the wrong one. Come on.
I mean, that's probably the best one. The cutting the weather control funding. People don't realize how they're using that to take resources and distribute them unfairly. It's actually insane. And some of the estimates and theories that they're using it to purposely cause hurricanes, whether it's to distract from something, to take away a voting block in an election. I mean, there are credible theories on the table that some of the stuff that these agencies that Trump is cutting some funding from are doing very nefarious things. That's a whole episode by itself right there. There's a lot of stuff going on there that needs to be talked about.
Anyway, all the things he's doing is good stuff. Okay, so we're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll come back. We went a little bit heavy today on stuff. We're going to talk a little bit about deportations. I think it's important to do. And then we'll wrap up. And then you remember, we'll just give you the whole spiel of what you have to do on your side to make sure that you share the message.
Yep. And again, if you just came in for the video of what looks like a mermaid, whatever it is,
they don't even know how much
we don't know. We don't even fully understand what that video is showing, but they are claiming that it is a human hybrid. The people are now coming out who were part of that operation and claiming that.
Well,
so it's very interesting stuff. And we talked about it at the beginning of the show, and we talked about it in the middle of the show. So if you just came for that, go to those 2 points. And let's go ahead and go to commercial break, and we'll be right back.
Gabe! Dude, Gabe, something's in the dumpster.
Whoa, what is that for?
Something's in the dumpster, man.
Well, let's use the burner. We don't want to wake the neighbors. Freeze! Stop resisting!
If you're looking for a less than lethal option for self-defense or keeping pests out of your dumpster, then check out Byrna at DCF Guns. Visit us at our 3 locations in Castle Rock or Colorado Springs, or visit us online at dcfguns.com.
Come join the DCF family today, where we keep the range hot and the deals hotter. In every thread, in every stitch, Honor-Bound USA weaves the fabric of the American spirit. It's not just apparel, it's a testament to God, family, and country. At Honor-Bound USA, we're a family of patriots who put our faith, family, and America first. When you visit our website, you'll find a line of products that embody our commitment to pray, stand, speak, and act. As the official site for the Untamed podcast, all of our products proclaim speaking the truth with courage. We also have the powerful documentary from Professor David Clements, Let My People Go. Identify yourself as one of the few who are willing to stand for what they believe in. Join the Honor-Bound USA family today. Wear it as a badge of honor, commitment to the values that shape us, and a pledge to the bright future we will build together. Because when you're honor-bound, you're not just wearing a brand, you're embodying a lifestyle.
Hi, I'm John Tig Tigan. I'm one of the Benghazi warriors from 9/11 2012, or 13 Hours movie. If you're a gun owner or plan on becoming a gun owner, this is where DCF comes in. As one of the lead instructors over here at DCF Guns, I'm going to ensure that you can properly handle your firearm and properly defend and protect your loved ones and yourself. For those of you guys that are thinking about purchasing a gun or getting involved in firearms, DCF Guns has an introductory class which will teach you the very basics of firearms, how to store firearms, even how to pick your own firearm if you have not yet. Our next step is the 100 series. We're going to go into the fundamentals of marksmanship, which is going to be how to hold your firearm, how to sight in your firearm. Then we're going to go into the next step, which is going to be your maintenance, disassembling, reassembling your firearm. And then we're going to go into how to strings of fire, rapid fire, how to get more accurate shots on your thread. Our next step is the 200 series with pistol. We're going to teach you how to draw from the holster and return to the holster in a safe manner. With the carbine, we're going to teach you how to use the sling properly. We're going to teach you how to do proper reloads, what different types of reloads there are. We're going to teach you cover and concealment, what's the purpose of each and which one does what, and then good in shooting and moving, and also transitioning from your rifle to your pistol and back from your pistol to your rifle. Your next step is going to be the level 300 series. This kind of combines all your training into one step. Keep going forward is what we do. We're going to go into low light. We're going to go into close quarter combat stuff, CQB, room to room clearing, situational training and stuff like that. Your training never ends, so get in here and let's get it done. Start your training at DCF Guns today and save on classes when you become a member. And when you become a member at DCF Guns, you can unlock some major benefits. Priority range reservations, discounts on firearms and ammo, discounts on gunsmithing, and we offer a lifetime cleaning. So visit dcfguns.com to learn more, or you can contact us directly with any questions you might have.
Whew. Matt, your favorite subject?
I have a lot of favorite subjects. That's
No.
okay. It's this is my favorite subject. Apparently.
I mean, of the things they talk about, come on, deportations is like top of your list.
Yes, I love deportations. That's my favorite thing.
So this is crazy. They are creating propaganda like they do in war. They're doing the same thing here. A woman in Florida was said she was deported and was forced to leave her baby daughter behind. So Heidi Sanchez says she was told her 17-month-old, who has health problems and is breastfeeding, couldn't go with her. Do you believe that?
I believe that about as far as I can throw. I'm not gonna. I was gonna say as far as like that's mean. It's a baby with health problems. I'm not gonna go there. But I was gonna say as far as I could throw the baby, but I'm not. I could probably, unfortunately, for the image I'm putting in people's minds, I could probably throw a baby pretty far. So,
right,
we won't use that reference.
So you would never throw a baby.
No, I would
but,
never.
I mean, could you throw it back to Cuba with her?
We'll get the catapult. But no, obviously it's
being
false.
funny. It's being funny.
We're joking.
Funny. Okay, but it's not true. But I will tell you this. She said this. She said the mother deported to Cuba reportedly had to hand over her 17-month-old daughter to a lawyer while her husband, a U.S. citizen, stood outside unable to say goodbye. So this is actually not what happened. So, Carlos Valle sits in his Tampa home holding a framed photo of him and his wife, Heidi Sanchez. So who was recently detained by immigration officials and deported to Cuba. So there's more to this than you guys actually know. Way more to this than you actually know. Nobody just came up and just said, listen, we're just going to forcibly remove you and send you there. That's not what happened. And it wasn't there was crimes that were committed, number one, and number two, there was that nobody wants to talk about. And the process is that there was a choice to be made. You can take your daughter with you, or you can leave it here. And she chose to leave her daughter here. Okay. But the deportation happened because of bad decisions that she made, not because of decisions that someone here made. And just pop up on the radar and walk down the street and pick her up off the street and send her over to Cuba. That's not how it happened.
Do you think she ever considered this really cool concept called not illegally entering a country that isn't yours? Maybe she should have considered that. That would have been pretty cool. That would have been a nice option. Then there would have to be no issue with deportation because you wouldn't be getting deported because you didn't break the law in the first place.
Yeah, so they say that they struggle to get Wi-Fi service in Cuba, sing their daughter to sleep, and it's crazy. And you have a story that's so blatantly false. Both parents separately said to NBC that the daughter is now crying all the time and calling for her mother, 17 months old. Okay, just so you know, I've had children at 17 months old. If the baby is crying, it's because the baby's hungry at 17 months old. That's right. There's an affinity to the mother. There's an affinity to the father. I get that. But the fact is that there is absolutely zero parts of the story that they just walked in and said, oh, you're illegal, we're taking you. No, they're taking the criminals first. Gone.
I mean, I would still support. I mean, look, at the end of the day, I think the mom did an extremely big disservice to her child by coming into this country illegally, knowing that there was that possibility of being deported. The child doesn't deserve it. No child ever deserves that. But the mom's the one responsible, not the government, for enforcing the laws. And so even if she hadn't done anything wrong or committed any additional crimes after coming here, I would still say this isn't a situation where we can't just have people disrespecting the law because they'll know I can just come here and as long as they don't break any laws, then I can still have broken the first law and everything will be fine. That's not how that works. That's not a country if you allow that to happen. So I know I sound callous and cold, and obviously, I would literally risk my life if I saw that specific baby in a situation of danger, I would risk my life to save the baby. But at the same time, you have to have laws with immigration, and you can't have people coming in illegally, whether they're criminals or not, at the point of entry.
Yeah, and look, my heart goes out if it was different.
Right.
Look, I think circumstances is the root of everything. And if her husband is a U.S. citizen and she is in Cuba, he now can go through the process if there's no crimes committed and there's no risk to in the United States based upon the criteria. If they're married to a U.S. citizen, you do have the ability to apply to come back into the United States. You have that ability.
That is true.
Now, at the same time, I'm going to tell you right now, the immigration system is thoroughly broken. It favors chaos. Chaos favors the ability to bring people in here illegally, and that is under the guise so they can traffic women and children. 100%, I believe that's the case. 100%. Like there's no question that that's the case. We just saw it happen over a 4-year period of time.
Yep.
Right. So if you have a heart, yeah, I mean, circumstances is that there's a lot of bad things that are happening to people. You're going to get one-offs. You're going to get one-offs. But the consequence is this: you're in the country illegally. If you're going to get married, and she's been in here since 2019, it's really simple. Get a visa. Walk through the process. Spend the money to make sure that she can be here legally. That's not the case in this case. Not the case.
Or just close all legal immigration and illegal immigration. Just let us have a country without having to worry about a bunch of other people coming in, and then we can innovate and allow, like the Wi-Fi problem. Well, why don't we just allow Starlink to be cheaper and more global, because we are so strong as a country that we can help others. That's what I want to do. Because all it does when we're letting people come in legally, even if they're the best of that country, is it hurts that country. And there's a bunch more people that don't have innovation at the top of their countries. There's people who don't have business leaders. So if we're taking everyone, it hurts way more people than it helps. And if we're going to be selfish about it and only take the best of those countries, that's even worse for them. And it doesn't truly help us because we already have the best of the best of our own people. So it's just a lose-lose situation for everyone. And I'm a radical when it comes to immigration. I'm not afraid to say that. No immigration. Keep our own people, encourage kids to be had. It's that simple.
Yeah. So the Cuban mother, because you at Reuters had to go do a story, right, over there.
Yeah, and also I am aware of that. In this case, it was a marriage, which is a little different. Obviously, if you marry someone who's a U.S. citizen, there are exceptions that can be made there. So I'm not against that necessarily.
So here's my problem. Okay, a 17-month-old daughter. Great. I want to play this because this is it's 2 minutes long. But of her in Cuba. Let's go ahead and play it.
Cuban mother Heidi Sanchez was separated from her still breastfeeding 1-year-old daughter last week after being deported from the US. Speaking from a family member's home near Havana, she said Florida immigration officials told her that her daughter had to stay, but she had to go. They instructed her to call her husband, a naturalized US citizen, to let him know.
Then I started crying. I begged, I pleaded. My daughter got nervous and agitated and began to ask for milk. And I told them, look, she's asking me to breastfeed her. She still breastfeeds, but it didn't matter to them.
Hours later, she said she arrived in Cuba, handcuffed and detained, with no passport or US documents explaining why she was deported.
I want help to reunite with my daughter again. My daughter needs me and I need her very much. It is something that I don't know, that only a mother can feel. My husband is desperate, but my daughter is even more desperate. And I already told him that I'm collapsing. I have no life. I don't sleep since I arrived here, because my daughter used to sleep in my arms. I don't sleep, I don't rest, I don't eat. I look like a zombie. I have no life, no life.
She's getting paid to say that, by the way. The husband can fly there
that
tomorrow.
Sanchez's statement was inaccurate and contradicted standard protocol. In an email saying Sanchez stated she, quote, wanted to be removed without the child. Reuters asked if Sanchez had been given the choice to take her child to Cuba, but the DHS didn't immediately respond.
Show me what democracy looks like!
The inconsistencies in Sanchez's case underline concerns among civil rights advocates over US President Donald Trump's immigration crackdown. Sanchez said her husband sought legal residence in the US for her 2 years ago after their marriage, but had yet to receive a response. And she now faces the, quote, impossible decision to either remain apart from her baby daughter or bring her to crisis-racked Cuba.
Crisis-racked Cuba. I mean, that is a sad story, but at the end of the day, why is it a crisis-racked? Because the people who are currently running things there are doing a bad job. And if those people come here, then we become also crisis-racked. So soon it'll be the United States is crisis-racked and Cuba's crisis-racked. And she's lying about the story, and she's probably getting paid to say it.
All right, so here's the part that nobody knows. So she tried. They applied for asylum 2 years ago. Okay, she's had a deportation order since 2019. She had a deportation order based on a prior crime that was committed 2019. Just so we're clear, she committed a crime 2019. We have a zero policy for people committing crimes. They're here illegally.
Yep.
She's in the state of Florida. You got to get out. And she decided not to leave. She had an order from 2019. 2 years ago, it'd be 2023. So for 4 years, she was in this country under a deportation order illegally. She was told, you have to leave. You've done something wrong. You cannot be here. Nobody hunted her down from 2019 to 2025. No one filed for the deal. And by the way, I know this process because I helped a friend go through the process of getting citizenship and getting the ability to be here legally. It's a terrible process. It's a terrible process. I get it. Then change it. But you don't want to change it either because you want to be able to, piddle children and traffic children and women. That's why the process is the way it is, because it favors people like Epstein, like Bill Clinton, like Hillary Clinton, like these awful people. That's why the system is the way it is, because it favors really bad shit people. And that's why the legislature is what it is. And President Trump comes in and says, I want to cut it all. So anyway, I just cut through it in a very short period of time. I think we're at the end of the show.
Yep.
Any questions? Shout out to people in the comments.
The comment section is very active today.
Yeah.
Hello to everyone in the comment section. Whether you're sitting on the toilet, whether you're at work, maybe you're eating, wherever you are. Hello. And I'm glad you're watching us.
Absolutely. I did see Susan Rice in the comments, the good Susan Rice. Every time I see Susan Rice, I get a smile on my face because she's the good Susan Rice.
We only like the good Susan Rice, by the way. Only the good one is allowed here. If the other Susan Rice tries to come, we're going to kick her off.
Absolutely. Remember, go to see Tina Peters at tinapeters.us. We're going to pray. Gammy Sparkles, who has been in the comments for 5 years since the beginning. She has been very sick, so we'll pray for her as well. Is it my turn to pray or is it your turn to pray?
It is your turn. I prayed last time. Even though I actually would like to do a double prayer. It sounds kind of fun. That sounds good. Why don't we do a double prayer today? Why don't we both pray?
All right. I like it.
There we go.
You want to go first?
I will go first.
All right.
That sounds good. Dear Lord, give us the courage to continue to fight and to do what is right. Help us to protect our families and to be there for them and to have a good relationship with those who we are with, our wives, our girlfriends, who we spend time with. Help us to cultivate that and have you be at the center of it, be closer to you.
Me take over?
Yeah, you take over now.
All right, Father God, thank you. Thank you for the relationships we have in our life. Thank you for the opportunity to be able to stand up and be born at a time such as this. We are eternally grateful for the gifts that you've poured upon us, the blessings that we have. Father, we're grateful for the insight that you've given us, the intelligence, the ability to have courage and to stand up for what's right, regardless of what the consequences may bring. We recognize, Father, that this life is yet but a test. And so I pray that we may meet you where it is you want us to be at the time that you want us to be. Father, help us that we may pursue truth. And Father, we have some requests and prayers. Gammy has been sick for a really long time. So we would ask that you would heal her, bring her back to the comments so that she can be spicy and get into arguments with people. It's always kind of nice. Father, I ask you to put a blessing over Matt and his family. And as my wife travels back, if you could keep her safe, that would be amazing. I ask you to, Father, to give us the ability to be compassionate with the people in our communities and our country and even the world, while rooting out evil and rooting out just bad people and supporting those leaders in our government that are doing the right thing while exposing those and holding those accountable that aren't. Father, I ask you to give us the courage and give us the wisdom to be able to proceed and to rip the Band-Aid off and to do the things that are necessary to protect our people in this country. And also, whatever happens here obviously affects other parts of the world. That ripple effect may cause the evil in other countries to fall. Help us, Father, we may do your will, and that we may always do the honorable thing, regardless of where it may take us. I ask these things, Father, in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
All right, we will. Yeah, thank you, Susan, for praying for my wife. I got to talk to her today for the first time in 18 days. It was ridiculously emotional. Yeah, it's I can't even tell you how emotional it was. I had to go take I drive. I got in my truck and just left. I was like, I gotta go. I gotta get my head straight. So I have an immense amount of love for my wife 23 years later. It's pretty crazy.
Love is a beautiful thing.
It is. And you have a beautiful wife and you have beautiful children.
And I have also not seen her for a little bit, which is very hard. But I have been, unlike Joe, because he can't right now, I've been able to FaceTime every single day. And that's my favorite part of the day. And I can't wait till we're going to be reunited soon, which will be very, very nice. So we're looking forward to that. But
I'm encouraging him to get on a plane today and just surprise his wife. I might push him to do that a little bit. Take a couple days and just be like, surprise. He likes my idea too. See that face?
I do like that idea. I will not waste the opportunity to squeeze and hug and kiss my babies unlimited amounts.
Yeah, we might do that. Hey, God bless you all. Have a great weekend. Remember to love on your family and friends and to honor God in everything that you do. Take care.